Well, Regretamaniacs, you wanted it, you got it. This week, we have reached the apex of Hulkamania.
I wanna be a Hulkamaniac. I thought with my family and friends.
I think the first Raw on Netflix from earlier this year will be known as the day that Hulkamania was finally killed, in a way at least. Here was Hulk Hogan, this perennial babyface who at one time represented all that was right and virtuous in our country, getting booed out of the building by the crowd in Los Angeles. Was it because he endorsed Donald Trump in the 2024 election, a red wrestler in a blue state? Maybe, but I doubt it. The Undertaker appeared on the same show and has been an open Trumper for longer than Hogan, yet the fans still popped for him. And remember, the Hulkster was getting booed as far back as WrestleMania 37. In his hometown of Tampa, Florida, no less. No, I don't believe him hitching his wagga to MAGA is why more fans have turned their backs on the Hall of Famer over the years. Here's an even crazier theory. I think it's just that fans are finally sick of his shit. They're sick of the lies, the flagrant exaggerations, the tall tales, the mistakes, the insistence that at 71 years of age, he's still some magic bullet to boost sagging numbers, whether it's in professional wrestling or professional freestyle. Good luck with that one, fellas. Ooh yeah, NWO 30 years later, woohoo! After more than a decade of the business evolving and thriving perfectly fine without Hulk Hogan, I think more of today's fans are finally turned off by his ignorance to the greater wrestling world around him, his inability to contribute anything beyond making himself the main character, and oh yeah, all the racism and the aforementioned lies. It took 30 years, but WWE fans have finally internalized the way Hogan was portrayed in those billionaire Ted skits, and they're rejecting him for what he is. In 2025, wrestling does not need Hogan nearly as much as Hogan needs wrestling, and I believe his last couple public appearances have proven that as much as anything. And again, this is coming from someone who is a fan of a lot of his matches. But in 2006, America couldn't get enough of the Hogan family, especially the folks at VH1. Hulk, Linda, Brooke, and Nick were a godsend to the cable network, the first couple seasons of Hogan Knows Best becoming a breakout success. After about 4 months away, season 3 kicked off in October of 2006, with updated graphics, even slower opening music, and more ladies giggling around Nick. More giggling. So let's go back to a time when the Immortal One still had some goodwill with the Maniacs, or regular contact with both of his children, and just before Hogan's fall from grace truly began. It's time for me to look at season 3 of Hogan Knows Best. But first, if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to Wrestling with Regret, hit that bell icon for all the notifications, brother. Near the end of season 2, Papa Hogan surprised the family by buying a brand new house in Miami in an effort to help Brooke's music career. And that takes us to episode 1, The Big Move. The Hogans are taking only the essentials with them as they move to their season 3 upgrade. Sorry, knobs, no room in the truck for you. After a 4-hour drive, the blonde and tan caravan arrives at the mansion, just in time for an insane hailstorm. Nope, no bad omens here.
My Rolls Royce that I never drive, that sits protected like a baby in the garage its whole life, is now out on an open hauler, just in time for the hailstorm.
I can't say that I have much sympathy for Linda's cars, but I will admit that seeing this mostly unfinished house gives me major anxiety. Is that water pooling on the floors? Where's the drainage? Oh my God, that is so much work to do. You guys are moving in before all that work is done? Are you crazy?
They need to repaint. There's no second coat, and it's not the right texture.
That should be filled in, yeah. I know what they did this.
You want it done by next week. We keep trying to keep up with you, but it's really
I know.
And we're really, really trying.
They got lots of work to do here.
Who doesn't think of stuff like this? Despite Hulk being the one who bought the house, all the actual home management falls on Linda's shoulders, to the point that everyone else pieces out on her. Look, I don't care if she's the worst woman in the world. No one deserves to go through that kind of stress solo. Sorry, I've done enough moves and renovations to not feel at least a little sympathetic to that. Linda finally takes some time for herself, all while contractors are still there trying to get stuff figured out. Confronted with responsibility, now Terry steps in to beg his kids to help Linda out. Hulk and Linda begin to wonder if the move was a mistake, but they still celebrate the good moments, like when Brooke gets a radio premiere in town. The episode ends with the family chillaxing in their front yard pool, aka their moat, deciding to worry about their house problems some other time. Must be nice. Episode 2, Hogan's on the High Seas. It's almost the Hulkster's birthday, and apart from the same old boring virgin sacrifice every year, the family doesn't know what to get for the man who has everything.
We're in the cruise capital of the world. It's like being on a hotel on the water.
Well, okay, crazy coincidence here, because I was watching this episode and this whole season for research while I was on a cruise ship. How crazy is that? If an episode comes up where Hogan quits his day job to become a quasi-successful YouTuber in like a really niche field, I'm gonna freak out.
I feel like I got the neck brace on after the Undertaker spiked me on the concrete in Detroit in '74.
Oh my god, perpetuating the lie about Survivor Series now with even more bullshit? No shame. At first, Hogan isn't too stoked about being trapped on a ship with a bunch of civilians, and I can't say I blame him.
Hey, talk to my daughter, girl.
Huh? You look about the same age as him. Like, do you mean you were literally one of his childhood neighbors in Tampa? At dinner time, the Hogans get to know their table buddies, and Nick immediately macks on a girl from the other family. This gets a hearty endorsement from the old man. Nice! At the gym, Hulk admits to his 15-year-old son that he admires him for his game. It's a very different reaction compared to when his adult daughter even thinks of displaying a hint of sexuality, which I just find so interesting, don't you? And man, this is like somehow even creepier than when he's hovering over Brooke. What the hell are we doing? The Hogans head off the ship to go hanging and banging with the Dolphins dude, and later on, Linda concocts a plan with the kids to surprise Hulk yet again.
Brookie, what if we went up on stage and did something for him at the show tonight?
What are we doing tonight? What's going on?
We gotta go. Brookie, we gotta go. We'll meet up with you guys later.
I love when these random kids pop up in the shots occasionally. Like, I know it's probably because they're sharing seating or their fans marking out, but it's just funny to see them hanging with the Hogans like it's perfectly normal. Anyway, Brooke and Nick put over their dad on stage for his birthday, and the Hulkster seems genuinely moved by the whole trip.
I didn't think this thing was going to be fun, but because of you three guys, you made this one of the greatest times of my life. Thank you guys so much for my birthday.
Man, we're only a couple episodes in and things already feel way different from previous seasons. Is it me, or does the family seem a lot nicer to each other than before? It's kind of weird. I wonder if they got a note from the producer or something. I feel like we're due for some Brooke shaming any minute now. Oh, here it comes. It's time for episode 3. Brooke faces the music. Brooke's in the recording studio, but is having a tough time nailing her vocals, and producer Pooh Bear is having none of it.
We're gonna start. I'm gonna have to put you on like some type of a strict program where you're doing exercises every day, and some days you won't be talking at all.
Oh, bother. As the studio and the family both come down on Brooke, we get another one of those lines that paints a much bleaker picture in hindsight.
I basically have to keep going because I don't want to let myself down, but mostly I don't want to let everybody else down.
But to her credit, Brooke commits to the training regimen, declining to hang out with friends and even maintaining a silent period against all odds.
Why can't you talk? 'Cause you're stupid.
All the hard work appears to pay off as the next recording session goes much better for Brooke and the producers are happy. Geez Louise, I don't think I can handle this much growth in a single season. Come on, Hulkster, give us some of that season 1 magic.
Bathing suits should be sexy, but no weird stuff going on.
Right.
You know, no lingerie, shorts are fine. We don't want a bunch of models, you know, all over Brooke's body.
It's time for a photo shoot to show that Brooke's not a little girl anymore. She even gets to pose alongside a male model. Obviously, Claude must have been out sick that day. And even though the Hulkster grumbles his way through the shoot, he actually shows some restraint around his daughter compared to previous seasons. And when he does openly complain, everyone else shuts him down.
That's a little edgy. What about the audience that we're trying to, you know, appeal?
I don't think it puts you over the edge.
Jean shorts and a top.
Yeah.
Okay, this is starting to get a little strange now. We are 3 episodes in of this family generally getting along well together. Minimal issues, No one's acting like a total dick yet. This is really weird. I mean, by now you'd think they'd at least make things awkward for people around them. Oy vey, here it comes! Episode 4 is titled Kosher Mania. The work on the house continues, and the mess it's making has caused the neighbors to complain. Thankfully for all the new viewers, Linda provides some exposition from previous seasons.
You know, we don't need any more issues with neighbors. Where we lived in Clearwater, we had issues with neighbors and the city, and it got ugly.
Linda bakes a bunch of cookies and wants to deliver them to her neighbors as a peace offering, but sadly, most of them cannot accept.
Thank you very much. We get kosher. We can't have it.
Unless they're kosher.
Oh, you're kidding. Kosher? I didn't know that. I'm sorry. Okay.
When I first saw the synopsis for this episode, and I thought, okay, well, how are the Hogans going to try and fit into this very Jewish neighborhood? For whatever reason, my mind immediately went to this. Sadly, it is only a dream.
You guys want to see something really cute? Look, it's a yarmulke.
Linda's invited the entire neighborhood to a party, but since their part of Miami is extra Jewy, it means they'll need to have kosher food.
We should ask one of the kosher people what we're supposed to do.
The kosher people. But hey, points to them for at least wanting to make an effort. The Hogan boys are lost in the woods trying to figure out what foods are kosher, even after some of the grocery workers try to explain it to them.
Kosher is a certain way that the product is prepared.
So I can't feed this to these kosher people?
It's not kosher now.
Why don't we just tell them it's kosher?
That's what I've been saying.
Lion's never done me wrong, Brother Jack. The guys buy a ton of food only to find out that much of it isn't kosher. Then in a moment that definitely doesn't feel sponsored, Nick uses his cool Verizon phone to find a kosher grocer nearby.
Kosher actually refers to the state of the food. If you have a kosher animal, it has to be slaughtered correctly so the animal feels no pain.
Like, I just bought bananas. Are those bananas kosher?
Your bananas are kosher. Your bananas
my bananas are
Hulk and Nick become instant kosher maniacs, and a few days later, it's party time. It's the one and only time this season that this new house is used to its full potential. Any other time and it feels like a big empty warehouse. The party has drawn a pretty good crowd of neighbors. Even Jimmy Hart's there. Hey baby, I'll never turn down a free meal. I'm a real mensch, baby. Yidle diddle diddle. The family learns more about Jewish customs as the night goes on, but in Hulk's case, he learns the hard way.
Well, you got the kosher on the grill with the non-kosher.
Yeah, so grab yourself a bun and dig in, boss.
Dude, it's no good.
What do you mean?
You gotta use a grill that's kosher.
Oh no!
You didn't put the grill in a mikvah.
What's a mikvah?
A mikvah's a ritual bath.
No. I've messed up.
It is a bummer to see Hogan really giving it a try, only to still screw up despite his good intentions. You hate to see it. This is just how I felt when he botched that fireball at Halloween Havoc 98. The next episode is titled Brooke's Dating Game. Wow, I can't believe it took 5 whole episodes for them to get to Brooke's sex life.
You're gonna be a spinster your whole life.
I'm not gonna get hooked up with anybody if you hook me up with them.
Brooke doesn't appreciate her mother offering to set her up with guys, which prompts the other family members to also try their hand at it.
I'll pick out a guy, you pick out a guy, you pick out a guy.
You guys are acting like this is some kind of competition. And
It is now.
It's my life.
You know, VH1 and Spike TV were both owned by the same company. If they were serious about some kind of competition to see who would get a date with Brooke Hogan, there was a great cross-promotional angle right there.
Get fired up for Most Extreme Elimination Challenge!
So the chase is on for each Hogan to find a candidate. Linda recruits the model from the photo shoot a couple episodes ago. Nick literally just walks up to a dude at a boat shop and asks if he'd like to meet his sister. And the Hulkster bumps into Harry Smith. What are the odds?
You look real familiar to me.
Davey Boy Smith's son.
No way.
I can't stop looking at this t-shirt Hogan's wearing to the gym. I know it's got something to do with Bubba the Love Sponge, but at first all I could think was, where'd they get that early Curtis Axel merch? Up first is Nick's new dude bro, who, let's be honest, has no stage presence. Brooke immediately pegs him as bland and questions her brother's judgment.
Yeah, dude, we're out of drinks unless you're into tap water.
Nah, that's all right. Nice meeting you guys.
Boy, she dodged a bullet. I mean, who's not into tap water anyway? I feel like even if you've never seen pro wrestling in your life, one look at Harry Smith and his fanny pack and you know what job he had right away.
Yo, Brooke Taney, did you see my friend come over?
Yeah.
What's up with all these candles? Why do they have so many massive unlit candles in this house? Is this some sort of lazy interior design hack? It's dinner time and things are getting on well with Harry. He's asked to show off his muscles, which drives the ladies wild. Then leave it to Hulk to make it awkward.
This is kind of like the two royalty families of the wrestling families. Got Brooke Hogan, the purebred of the Hogan family, and, you know, Harry, the purebred of the Hart dynasty.
Hulk, they're people, not horses. Unfortunately, we do not live in a timeline where the Hogan and Hart families unite, as Brooke isn't that interested in Harry either. Sorry, DH, only the tag titles for you. Now come on, Hulk, if you really want to pair a wrestler up with your daughter, how about that nice Bully Ray fella? He seems like a catch. Finally, we see the model Jay. Brooke actually goes out with him, which should grant Linda the victory by default. Hulk sees the writing on the wall, but still tries to meddle.
Hey, baby, how are you?
Hey, what's up?
Do you want me to send Harry over for protection?
What?
This is pretty creepy, but still fairly tame compared to the first couple of seasons. Either way, man, I just can't believe this woman doesn't talk with either of her parents anymore. We've come to the halfway point with episode 6, Superfan. VH1 held a contest to find the biggest Hulkamaniac alive, and it was up to the family to pick a winner.
Here's my impersonation of Hulk Hogan from an episode of Hogan Knows Best. Thanks a lot, Linda.
Oh God, that is a very unsettling look. For a second I thought he was wearing somebody else's skin.
And what you gonna do, Hulk Hogan, when I come down to Miami and destroy you, yeah.
Look, I'm telling you, this is the beginning of a horror film we're watching right now. So anyway, the Hogans pick this fan named Kyle, who arrives at the house in his Hulk Day best. Okay, sending the fan directly to where you live? That's crazy. Am I crazy for thinking that's crazy? Hogan welcomes his super fan with a complimentary can of Sacco energy drink and even gifts him his Mr. America knee brace. Holy crap, did this fan ever luck out?
2003 was weird, brother. Here, take it.
Hulk is excited to have somebody around who he can talk wrestling with, but after the third or fourth day, it feels like the experience is starting to wear thin.
Tell me a story about this belt over here, man.
The belt? Yeah, that thing will definitely clock you.
The first time they introduced that was when you faced Andre on the main event, February of '88.
I love that. Hey, you didn't have a story, so I'll just tell you one. At dinner, Kyle is overcome with emotion after being accepted into the Hogan household, which Terry later says helped put everything into perspective. And you see, it's helped put things into perspective for me as well. Because it doesn't matter to me if you're some super fan, some shoot fighter, if you're some karate, because Al Green is here to help with today's workout. Oh man, I hope he got to share some classic WXO stories. Hogan and Green put Kyle through the ringer at the gym, but he seems to have handled it with, oh boy. Well, yeah, not surprised there. They probably rode him pretty hard. Oh God, he's doing it again. Come on, do they really gotta show this? I know it's cable, but ugh. But if that's not enough for you, how about you learn to take some bumps in a boxing ring? Anything left in there you were saving for later, champ?
I got Hulkamania in my blood. What about getting Hulkamania on my skin, man?
Okay, dude, listen, all right? You're dehydrated, you've clearly been concussed. Just sit down and let's think about this before doing anything rash, okay? Yes, Kyle caps off his superfan experience by getting a Team Hogan tattoo, and Hulk even put some of the ink in himself. It's a bit nerdy, but it's no worse than Hogan's Immortal or Jam That Jam tattoos, and it's definitely better than this monstrosity. And then to wrap it all up, Kyle's wife appears at the house, I'm guessing to pick him up, and she immediately approves of the new tattoo. Damn, did this guy find the perfect woman or what? Moving on to episode 7, or ¿Qué vas a hacer, hermano? It turns out that this Miami neighborhood the Hogans have moved into is not only predominantly Jewish, but also primarily Spanish-speaking.
What's in the cortadito?
Cortadito?
Yeah.
Esa, café y leche.
Yes, I have.
Do you know anybody else, other persons?
Una amiga?
For
Una
cleaning,
amiga?
for helping me cleaning?
¿La quiere caliente o fría? ¿La quieres tostado?
From the grocery store to the subway to the GNC, the Hogans are helpless with the language barrier, so Linda decides they need to learn Spanish to function better in the city. I mean, sign language can only get you so far.
Do you have something for sex? You know,
Sexualmente?
yeah, like ginseng.
Linda finds a Spanish tutor in the Yellow Pages, which for my younger viewers is kind of like Google, but much smaller. And a few days later, Marlena shows up to start the lessons. She suggests they go out to dinner in Little Havana to get more in touch with the local culture. Hey Hulkster, hit us with that Razor Ramon impression.
First you get the money, and you get the power, then you get the women.
There's actually not much to riff about with this one. Similar to the kosher episode, it seems that the family is making a real effort to ingratiate themselves to their community, compared to how hostile things felt in Clearwater. It's also fun to hear Hulk bust out some Spanish with his own unique flair.
What you gonna do, brother?
¿Qué vas a hacer, hermano?
¿Qué vas a hacer, hermano? Por favor, Jabron.
Episode 8, or Brooke Bears All, brings us back to the whole reason this show exists in the first place. Brooke Tini is preparing for a big performance at an outdoor music festival alongside Paul Wall, so naturally, Linda's gotta be hovering.
You need to come up and just... When you're dancing and you're moving, it's going to change your levels a little bit.
I'm not going to beg you anymore. I don't care. Mom. She doesn't listen. She's so hard-headed. She's 18 now, and she just knows everything.
And I'm not really a choreographer. I'm just like work on feeling.
Geez, if she were born in some other time, she would have been a natural on that Dance Moms show. The performance goes well and everybody's happy, except for Brooke, who craves a smackerel of autonomy. A few days later, Brooke is offered the cover of the November issue of FHM magazine. She and Linda are very excited about the idea, but Hulk responds the same way as when he was told the original finish to Starrcade 97.
Yeah, it's just not gonna work.
Hulk is against it since FHM is one of those mature mags, but he'll be out of town working Raw the day of the shoot, so his opinion means F all.
One bad move could ruin your career.
Just make sure those mistakes aren't caught on camera. That's the most important thing above all else, brother.
In what has to be one of the most boomer uses of technology ever, Linda sends Hulk a picture of Brooke in the photo shoot while he's gone, but he doesn't seem to check it until he's already back home.
Oh my God.
Despite it being one of the most tame photo shoots in history, of course Hogan hates it. Like, we get it. It's weird seeing your daughter grown up, but you're upset about this? What the hell did Hulk think being a pop star would entail? Fast forward to when the November issue drops, so like in August. And like something out of a sitcom, Hulk and Nick go all around town trying to buy up every issue of the magazine they can. Yeah, that'll show the publishers a thing or two.
Hey jabronis, nobody spanks it to my daughter except for me, dudes.
It's time for episode 9, Nick in the driver's seat.
Shit!
No way!
Episode 10, Knobs Invades, that classic trope where the wacky best friend who's just begging for a spin-off arrives to cause some chaos.
Now this is what I'm talking about! Alright, where's my room? Oh, this is a hallway!
This is honestly my favorite episode of the bunch. Finally, we have a little bit of energy in this giant soulless mansion.
Where is he going to sleep? With Nick? We don't have anywhere to let him sleep.
I'm sure Linda is more than justified in wanting to keep Knobs away. She's definitely seen the aftermath of more than one wrestler party, so I get it. But damn, nowhere in that 12-bedroom house? The next day, Knobs wakes Hogan up by jumping on him. You know, like a lapdog.
Woo, woo, woo! Whoa!
The nasty maniacs stock up on supplies for the next couple of days, hang out in the pool, and hit up a Tampa Bay Rays game. But as time goes on, Knobs begins to wear out his welcome as he tries to keep the party going.
You Hulkster!
What?
Hey, wanna watch WrestleMania 7?
Hey, you know, that was a good night for both guys. Good pick, Knobs. The next morning, Hulk drops the elbow onto his pal and tells him that he needs to tone things down and help around the house a bit. Brian takes the advice to heart, but still manages to screw things up to the point where Linda needs to step in. He does make an effective chair shot dummy, though. That looks fun. I like how Knobs waited this long to bust out that XWF shirt. No doubt he and Jimmy Hart are still looking for the right investor. Then it'll really be something, baby! Knobs mentions that a lot of the boys are in town for a convention, and Hogan reluctantly agrees to invite them all over. Oh man, look at this all-time lineup. There's Greg Valentine, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, B. Brian Blair, Jerry Sags, Jim Duggan, oh shit, the man called Ming. Wow, all the stars are here. And there's, low-fat Pat Catino. Good for that guy, whoever he is. Can't even find him on a Google search. Anyway, look at these guys though. Somewhere there exists the uncut footage of this party where Knobs inevitably drops trow and shows everyone his asshole, and some poor intern at VH1 had to log it. Our penultimate episode is titled Hulkamania Forever. It's Monday Night Raw, the go-home episode before SummerSlam 06 and Hogan's match with Randy Orton. Hulk has got Jimmy Hart in tow as he gets ready for his segment, but what's the point of having Jimmy on camera all this time if you're not going to let him talk?
And whenever I get on an airplane, I wear red underwear. These are my protection against all evil in the sky, such as running out of gas and missing runways, too, which I lived through.
Come on, man. Talking is most of what makes him, him. After finishing his promo, Hulk is asked to come into Vince McMahon's office.
Even you said using Hulk Hogan on a very limited basis really works well.
And it did, but everything's subject to change.
Vince wants to tie Hogan down to a contract. It's not enough for Hulk to show up now and then and steal the spotlight without warning. Vince wants that kind of thing guaranteed.
I need Hulkamania back hotter than it's ever, but I need it in a way that's not necessarily in the ring all the time.
3 words, Vince. Tough enough judge. I mean, what's the worst that could happen with a cushy gig like that? Hulk tells Linda about the meeting and explains that he feels caught between a rock and a hard place.
I didn't think I was going to have to wrestle at 54 years old because my wife spends so much money I could never retire.
I'm very valuable. You couldn't function without me.
Whew. Anyone else feel a chill when they heard that? Later on, Vince gives Hulk a call and asks him to take part in the upcoming Saturday night's main event. Wait a minute. There wasn't a main event after SummerSlam in 2006. It took place before the Raw that this episode opened up with. Man, they are doing some crazy mixing of the timelines here. I would have expected better from reality television. Okay, so in this narrative, Vince wants Hulk and Brooke involved in the show to promote the new single, which Hogan sees as a carrot dangled by McMahon to get him to sign. They show the two in the ring addressing the crowd, but omit any of the storyline stuff with Hulk and Randy Orton. Because hey, that's not nearly as interesting, right?
I just got this 20-year contract Vince sent me. Somebody has to bring money in here, okay? And as of this moment right now, nobody's bringing any money in here as of this moment.
Hey, Hulk. Brother, you should get in on the ground floor, man. Sign that 20-year deal. If there's one thing we all know Vince McMahon is good for, it's honoring long-term contracts. Oh, by the way, do you have any idea of how the Montreal screw job went down?
Well, Bret Hart was supposed to lose to Shawn Michaels, I think WrestleMania, whatever the hell it was, 16 or 17, I don't know. All the fans were yelling, Bret screwed Bret, and they went out there and Shawn Michaels pulled a fast one on Bret Hart and held him down and pinned him, and Bret couldn't do anything about it. And the so-called excellence of execution that was supposed to be the greatest wrestler of all, little teeny Shawn Michaels held him down and embarrassed him.
Okay, perfect. You got nothing to worry about. Vince and Hulk seemingly agree to a contract, even though Hogan's match against Orton at SummerSlam is the last he would ever have in WWE, before eventually falling out with Vince again and spending some time in TNA. Yeah, something tells me that whole 20-year contract never came to fruition. We come to season's end with episode 12, The Canine Mutiny. Ooh, that sounds fun. Do all the dogs finally rise up and attack these crazy entitled jerks and chase them out of the house in a bloodthirsty rage? No, Linda just thinks they're unhappy in the new home because they're shitting everywhere and tearing up the furniture. So she takes them to doggy yoga and doggy massages, and Hulk wants a psychic to come over. Man, why was this the finale and not the wrestler party? And that's my look at Season 3 of HKB. As I've been alluding to, it's easily the strongest season of the show so far, much better organized and executed than in earlier seasons. Everyone in the family gets a pretty good focus, and nobody seems completely insane or delusional this time around, but this season is definitely a great example of how far privilege can get some people. It's so bizarre for this season to have an overall lack of outward drama when we know now just how volatile things were for the family behind the scenes, before everything would boil over less than a year later. But I guess we won't get a better sense of how it all plays out until the day I look at Season 4. Whenever that is. Not anytime soon, though. But what did you think of this season of Hogan Knows Best? How does it stack up to the first two? Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Be sure to like the video if you haven't yet. Don't forget to subscribe. And hey, stay tuned for the end of the month when we look at Judgment Day 2002, the end of Hulkamania 2025. But until then, I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.